We are live. This is the market update. Where is the bottom? I know. I'm going to let you know where it is and how to play this into May, where we have a lunar eclipse and a Fed meeting. But first, if you like what you see on this channel, subscribe. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, hit the like button. Okay, let's welcome who's on the stream. Steve J is here. Okay, GF from Hamilton, Ontario. Rudy is looking for 24,750 on Bitcoin. I'll give you my level, but you're going to have to stay tuned. King says he's my #1 fan since 2021 in January. Sir, we appreciate your viewership. Lotmo Crypto, pancakes and peanut butter, urging everyone to hit the like button. Kennedy, Bart Hendricks, Kenneth, Moon Sector 7, the Crypto Clan, Donato, Ronnie, Mr. Moby Dick, Greg, one dog in the house. Sean, Big Ripped, Big Rich, Crypto for Noobs, Bull Runner is here. Longtime viewer. Chance, 5 zeros. John, hello from New Mexico. All right, Crypto for Noobs is asking about 25K. Let's check out the news first. Stay tuned. We will get into the charts. So China's going to take the place of the dollar as the reserve currency. Well, clearly the dollar has to go down in value. I get that. That's happened before. And it's actually got to go down a lot because the only way out of a debt crisis, right, is to devalue the currency. But the Chinese yuan is going to take over? Oh, okay, whatever. Okay. China urging jobless graduates, white collar, to roll up their sleeves and try manual labor. Things going really well over there. Now, look at this. So, you have an anchor from a far right, not far right, an anchor from a right-wing news channel out. Ouch. Okay, this is undoubtedly part of a legal settlement, right? You know, CNN made a similar move for different reasons, meaning they let go of an anchor, but, you know, it feels like no one with a strong opinion is safe in America. Nobody. That includes right or left. They will throw you under a bus for saying things that they don't like, which is why crypto is the best place to be, right? Bitcoin halving due next year spurs prediction of a rally past 50K. Okay, well, I kind of agree with this in principle. The question is, you know, when you have a move to say 50K, how's that going to unfold? In my opinion, it's going to be sharp rallies and sharp dips. So we just got done with a sharp rally. We got done with something euphoric up to 31. They dropped it to 26, has everybody thinking, oh my God, and I think differently. So if your target's 50, you got to expect, particularly in the preliminary stages of a move, you got to expect sharp dips and sharp rallies. More on that later. Disney begins second round of job cuts because everything in the economy is fine. And the Fed's probably going to hike anyway, because no matter how many people get laid off, it seems that they don't have control over inflation. So I'm not really endorsing a tightening move, but the fact that they have to do tightening mode, do tightenings into this kind of white collar, large corporate job carnage, it frankly is shocking. And it's pro crypto, right? The second he comes off, like right into the announcement, right? It's May 2nd and 3rd. Right into the announcement, crypto's going to do nothing but rally, right? Because if he has to hike rates into a recession or into what could turn into a recession, you know, it's completely positive crypto, because it inevitably creates a blow up in legacy. Speaking of blow ups, Bed Bath & Beyond has to file for Chapter 11. This has been kind of a slow death. This will not be the only corporate bankruptcy this year. It won't be. What strong gold says about the weak dollar? Okay. The U.S. has been weaponizing its currency, but that comes at a cost. Okay. Now, a lot of people are saying the U.S. dollar cannot reserve its dominant currency because there is no alternative. Okay. This article is right to suggest that the alternative could be gold. And jokes aside about the Chinese currency, both them and the Russians have done everything they can to back their currency with gold. I just think rather than that fiat, gold might become what I would call, or what a friend of mine calls, the world's reserve asset, right? So there's all this stuff about, the dollar and what's the new reserve currency going to be. The real question is, what's the world new reserve asset? Here's a hint: gold and Bitcoin. Speaking of gold, Zimbabwe, where they've got calamitous currency problems and have for a while, right? They want to have a gold-backed token, right? They tried to issue Zimbabwe coin, and I don't know how that worked out, but they want to do a gold token, as does the group I worked for, Emerging Asset Group. Okay. A musician is willing to split 50-50 royalties with AI-generated music. A lot of people assume that AI is some kind of apocalypse for both content creators and in the job market, when in fact, it may actually be a revenue opportunity for these people. I think one of the things you have to take from this in crypto is, I don't know, isn't it time to look on the bright side of certain things? I think it is. Chinese public servants to receive digital Yuan salaries starting in May. So they're going to pay you in China coin. And this is the beginning of their surveillance state. Actually, this is an extension of their surveillance state, right? Make no mistake, a central bank digital currency is a way for the government to control your life, which is why when you have Bitcoin under 30K, you need to take a serious, hard look at that in terms of, okay. UBS is rapidly shrinking Credit Suisse rescue. Okay. So when you see, wow, such and such bank bailed out by merger, or such and such bank bailed out by other bank, you got to be really careful about this kind of stuff, because it doesn't mean everything is all right. And it doesn't mean the bailout goes all the way through, because it's not a bailout. It's a fire sale. They just dismantle it, right? Can Apple fix banking? So banking is in so much trouble that Apple opening up a savings account is supposed to restore people's faith in the system. Good luck with that. It's like, who do you want in control of your money? Wall Street or Silicon Valley? How about none of the above? The BRICS Alliance draws membership requests from 19 nations before a summit. So, we weaponize the dollar. People want off the dollar. It's really easy to thumb your nose at the United States. A lot of people want to do it. A lot of people, this is what people don't get. People are already doing it. They're already doing it, right? In other words, demand for treasuries and the money flowing into the United States has dried up. No one is buying our bonds. No one. No one is buying our bonds. So to say that these guys are all going to gang up on us, in many ways, some of the bigger countries already have, because they've just stopped buying our debt. They stopped buying our debt. Now, let's talk about something coming up in May and how to play it. So coming up in May 5th, you're going to have a lunar eclipse. So I know we just got done with a hybrid solar eclipse, and now we're coming into a lunar eclipse in the section of space called Scorpio. Okay. So the energy may be intense, as it is with all eclipses. Okay. It may provide grounding and a bottom in late April. Okay. So there could also be geopolitical tensions. And if those geopolitical tensions don't wreck crypto, a rally could ensue. Okay. The market could start trading revolutionary changes to the global system. In other words, you shouldn't be asking yourself, can Apple fix banking? You should be asking yourself, are high net worth individuals who are used to buying dips in stocks going to take a look at a move from 31K to 27K on Bitcoin and hoover it up? Okay. The full moon lunar eclipse may represent a turning point, revolutionary changes in the crypto market. Okay. Which could mean Bitcoin takes a very big role. A late April bottom could propel Bitcoin to a new high above 30K. So back in 2011, as I discussed on the Gold Retriever Twitter space this morning, okay, you could have a situation where the market pukes out over the next 2 days. This is April 24th ahead of consensus, where they kind of puke it into the conference. Weak longs get forced out, short sellers attack, and then they get trapped. And then you're going to want to see a chart in a minute about past lunar eclipses in this particular section of space and what it's meant throughout the history of Bitcoin. Now, just as a reminder, there was the hybrid solar eclipse, which is out with the old, in with the new. It's very similar with lunar eclipses. With the solar eclipse, it was in with the new, right? It was Bitcoin going up. And then once the eclipse occurred on the 20th, it was kind of sell the fact, right? I don't see this as being any different, right? It's like lunar eclipse, May 5th, straight up. And of course, no one's going to want to buy, right? It's not investment advice, but no one's going to want to get long with a Fed meeting on May 2nd, which is exactly why you should, because every time there's fear of the Fed, you know, Bitcoin loves ripping into those events. And yeah, there'll be nasty dips. You know, of course there will be, right? But the thing is, don't get caught short at the bottom. Don't get pushed out of buying the dips. Don't. Just don't get tricked into not buying the dips. And don't get shaken out when they drop the market after, say, it goes to 32K. Right? Because if it goes to 32K, everybody will be talking 50, and then you'll get these nasty drops. Right. And who knows, you know, the latter half of May may be more constructive. So just be advised, you know, on these nasty dips, that's a part of a bull market. It's a part of a bull market to have nasty dips. Okay. So that is the news component. Right. Right. So Crypto Clan is like, oh my God, a Fed meeting and an eclipse all together. Okay. Village Cooking is, won't they just buy gold? Yeah, they're going to buy gold too. And I got that chart coming up. Matthias is here from Switzerland, right? Crypto Clan married a Scorpio, right? Good for him, right? Killuminatics is here. Ronnie, Mark, welcome. Welcome. Aiken is also noting that Mercury in retrograde is is kind of a pain in the ass. And he's right. I tried to set up, equipment in what I'm calling Studio B here where I live, right, to try to record videos, which I would encourage you to watch. We're taking this planetary alignment work to a whole new level with a co-host, Toby. So Toby knows a lot, and you should check those videos out for sure. Huckleberry Native is here. Laughing Dolphin, welcome. North Carolina in the house, right? Okay, let's go to PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, here comes PowerPoint. Okay, starting with the charts. DXY dollar index cannot get above 102.29, and I don't see any reason why it would. Why would it? Okay. The ultimate target of this move most likely is 98. That's either going to be the target at the end of May or possibly earlier, right? I mean, the Fed's going to come out, they're going to hike rates and acknowledge risks to the economy, and the dollar is going to fall apart. It's just going to fall apart. I mean, there's all this talk about BRICS. There's all this talk about Chinese currency taking over. There's nobody talking about DXY going below 100, which I don't even understand that. I mean, last year, people were obsessed with DXY. Every time DXY went down, it was like, oh, it's going to be a crypto bottom. And of course, DXY would just, continue higher. Right. And then at 111, at the high, everyone was like, oh my God, nothing can stop the dollar. And that's when this thing just got dropped. Absolutely dropped. 98 is the target. Actually, that's the short-term target, right? Like the very short-term target. Okay, what about gold? Well, Williams Oscillator shows a big move is percolating. There's an upward sloping wedge. Now, let's talk about upward sloping wedges. Normally, when you get an upward sloping wedge, it's a sign of an exhausted market. It's a sign that, it's moving in this upward sloping fashion like a runner running on an incline on a treadmill. Eventually, lactic acid kicks in, and the runner kind of has to get off the treadmill. And in this case, gold would go down. Well, in crypto, upward sloping wedges are normally bullish. It's the opposite of what you would read in a legacy textbook. So on the 4-hour chart of gold, there's an option expiration coming up, as my boss pointed out today. It's probably going to sit there around 2000. And then people are going to be like, shit, this never went down. This never went down. Right? I mean, you got like a $50 down move, and everybody may be waiting for a dip below 2000, and they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. Right? I mean, why would gold go down? What? Because the dollar goes up? Oh, please. Now, there could be a final puke in Bitcoin over the next couple of days, day or two. But obviously, as you can tell by the title of the live stream and the thumbnail, that is an opportunity, not investment advice. So let's just talk about ETH, right? Because we're going to be doing a stream today and probably tomorrow, because Consensus is coming, which is in my hometown of Austin, Texas. So if you have on a 90-minute chart of ETH, it's pretty simple, right? This was, 21 something, 2100. You have a correction, A, B, and as I like to say on the stream, C waves are a bitch. They're a pain in the ass. They're horrible, right? C waves make it look like, oh my God, it's like the end. And frequently C waves have got their own 5-wave structure to it. Well, C waves can be big, right? And now, this in ETH shows, I don't know, maybe it's below 1800. This is a 4-hour ETH chart, which has, some additional DeMark developments on it. right? You have a 13 top. That was at 2,100. Now, over the weekend, you had a 13 bottom. And then sometimes you get this like final climactic puke. Could be 1786. It could be as deep as 1750, which I had on my hand-kept Gann charts. So make them sell it to you at a good price, but don't let scary action on the downside chase you out of this market. And if it's only really down like 1 or 2% a day, I don't know, maybe buyers are just, sellers are just out of gas, right? I mean, this is something that I was advocating for a move to 34. There is a big resistance point at 32, right? So what happens if 26 and change or 27 holds? That's a big fib speed resistance line, like almost to the number. So if they press this thing below 27, doesn't that offer you an opportunity to get long for 32 or 34? There was no dip of any size on the way up, right? All you got was like up and sideways. Now you actually got a dip, right? And you may not think this, but I can tell you right now, legacy investors are going to be like, oh, wow, I can buy this thing where it was in March of, early March. I'm like, cool. I don't have to pay over 30, right? And I'm sure it's not legacy investors too. I'm sure it's like bigger players, much bigger players are going to be looking at this going, whoa, cool, right? So 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, it's almost the exact same picture as ETH. You had the 13 top, around the 14th, around tax day. And then it went straight down and you had a 13 bottom like early this morning. So, it didn't pay when you had the 13 top, and it's not going to pay to sell when you have the 13 bottom. So Bitcoin goes down 3%. Who cares? Right? I mean, who cares? I mean, once this thing bottoms, there could be 20, 30% upside. Now, let's talk about kind of the history of Bitcoin. This is a log scale. So this is the history of Bitcoin during lunar eclipses in the quadrant of space known as Scorpio. So planets, sun, the moon, they're like actors on a stage. They wear costumes, they play a role. And what they do is they move around the stage. So when the sun and the moon, they're actors. When they move around the stage, they change sections of space. The sections of space are named after, zodiac symbols. It makes it sound cheesy to people, but when you understand that it's just planets moving around and all you got to do is figure out where the planets are, it can help you with market moves. I mean, Gann made $50 million in, the early 20th century doing this. So I don't think you should knock it. So when it comes to Bitcoin, you had October 2013, April 2015, October 2016, and May 2017. So October 2013 was a big rally before and a bigger rally after. April 2015 was a little bit of a dud, right? But it was close to a major bottom, which occurred 1 month later. So that's sort of interesting. And then you have October 2016, where you had a rally before and a rally after. And you have May 2017, where you had, the whole thing just sort of take off. The point that I'm gathering from this is I don't know what happens like after the eclipse, because there was kind of the sell the fact thing. But this is kind of letting you know that once Bitcoin puts in a bottom, man, you don't want to get in the way. You don't want to get in the way. Matter of fact, you want to get on board if possible, right? Okay, so altcoins, DYDX, possible bump and run, alternative derivatives ideas. different ways for people to trade crypto. DYDX on a 4-hour chart showing, like more signs of a bottom than say the rest of the market. And whether this is good for DYDX or not is open for discussion, but it may be good for the overall market once the bottom is in. Okay, let's go to live TA. See what we got. We have like massive requests. Okay, language trainer is in the house. Michael Quarter Crawler is here. Welcome, Mark. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at Audius. Okay, I think it's safer to look at 4-hour charts, and I got to share the screen. Okay. So on a 4-hour chart, you're going to see this across the cryptoverse. You're going to see the 13 bottom. And, what you do see is people selling. People are selling, right? And, every time Audius goes up, at least off this bottom, people sell it. Now, when you have that kind of stuff happening, you can say, all right, well, they're selling it. This old floor is now a ceiling. But if they break out above 31 cents, that's constructive. Now, headed into conference like consensus, do you want to be short Web3? Probably not. But you have to remember, when there's a bottom, if that call is right, if there's a bottom in Bitcoin, if this thing's going to rip into the solar eclipse, it may be Bitcoin. Now, of course, Audio did very well during April, headed into the solar eclipse. So, for the sake of the people who own it, one thing about the lunar eclipse, though, that I understand is that, out with the old and in with the new could mean, out with old stuff that's not working. Audius has a tendency to really rip when it goes up. I'm not fading the 13 bottom, just saying don't assume every altcoin, right, is going to make it. Don't, because that's not true, right? No, Bitcoin dominance may actually break out. Now, when it comes to Avalanche, this is a 4-hour chart. This is a 13 bottom, just like the 13 top over here. Avalanche has an alliance with Amazon, and no one seems to care until they do, right? You may get 3 more down days in Avalanche. You may not, right? If you look at the weekly chart, okay, the weekly doesn't look as good. It looked better last week. Okay, I like this 4-hour chart, right? Now, if you get a new low below 16, great. Great. Okay, but this to me feels more like a bottom. Okay. Okay, AVA. Okay, 4-hour chart, same thing, 13 bottom. Definitely don't want to fade the 13 bottom. And here in AVA, you got the 13 bottom was way back here, right? And then you got the final 5-wave puke down here, right? A lot of these altcoins, showing that, they kind of want to wake up a little. The question is, if Bitcoin goes to 32K, are these altcoins going to go back and take out these highs? I would kind of doubt it, right? Because it feels like the big move is going to be in Bitcoin, but, clearly these altcoins are done and oversold. No, they're oversold. Now, that doesn't mean they can't puke them out again. So Gala on the 90-minute chart. So this is nice looking, right? Like, people know this stuff is here, right? There's the 13 bottom. There's the puke, the blow off bottom support near 0.038. And then it comes straight back. Now, again, everybody wants to buy the dip and everyone wants to sell the rally. So, these things are kind of at a stalemate, right? No 13 bottom yet on the 4-hour chart of Gala, but there is a lot of support at 0.037. Now, is this going to turn around and take out its high if Bitcoin goes to 32K? I don't know. Start looking at Bitcoin dominance, right? This is like a 4-hour chart. So let's label this like BTC.D. Okay, you do the hidden pivot analysis on this. If this takes out 48%, the upside target is 53%. Now, that could take a month. That could be July. Okay, it could also be short term, right? In other words, it took Bitcoin like a month. Bitcoin dominance, it took a month to go from 42 to 49. That's about a month. So it's March 10th on the bottom and March 12th on the top. So if you think this thing can't move 4 or 5 points, think again. Think again. Now, I'm not dissing altcoins. I'm just saying, if this thing turns around, 27K Bitcoin to me looks, looks interesting. Somebody wants Bill emojis on Twitter. I have no idea how to make that happen, but that would be really funny if it did. Okay, now, again, headed into consensus, render is moving. So if you look at, hidden pivot analysis on render, which has been in an uptrend, if you get above $1.95, your upside target is 292. Now, just a word of advice on this, or a word of guidance. Render has been outperforming. No question about it. Right? And, the trend is your friend. I get it. But nothing outperforms forever. Nothing. So, yeah, this is outperforming. The candlesticks here look pretty good. This squat bar here could be a bottom. So, headed into consensus, this is probably a constructive signal, right? But if it made a new high, you might be asking yourself, should I take money off the table? Or if you've owned this for a long time, maybe you're just like, okay, to hell with it. I'm leaving it. Okay. Sheb Ant reminding you to hit the like button. Big Ritz wants us to turn on the super chat. I'll look into that. We do have 100 messages today, which I appreciate. I definitely appreciate that. Switzerland is in the house. Okay, let's take a look at things like Near. Did some constructive things about Near last year at the DYDX function. Again, the difference between getting Near at 240 and the difference between getting Near on top of support at $1.87. Now, I just got done telling you that some alts won't perform as well. Not everything is going to follow Bitcoin. Man, I'm wondering if this is one of the things that could. I am really wondering. I'm like, wow. I mean, could this thing go back to 240 in short order? Because this whole Web3 thing, I mean, they're going to be pumping that hard at consensus. People are talking about Apple getting into banking. Jesus. Who cares, right? When are they going to start focusing on Silicon Valley being forced to buy Web3, right? Now, somebody was mentioning, I saw a tweet over the weekend, somebody calling for what they called a new local low in Solana. Man, they love to hate on this thing. They got a phone coming out. You got a 13 bottom. You got support at 20. See what the weekly chart did, right? The weekly chart of Solana actually held itself together. You know, this DeMark work, that this 1, 2, 3, 4 really kind of marks the start of a trend. And normally you want to, if it's going up, the dip is usually on the 4. This time it occurred on the 3. Translated into English, that means the market goes up, and then sort of right after it goes up at the start of a trend, it'll dip. I have no idea why everybody is packing it in on Solana. I have no idea. Okay, Putties wants me to take a look at Flux. Now, I am by no means an expert in Flux. But you do have a 13 bottom on the 4-hour chart. Now, just because you have a 13 bottom doesn't mean you have a bottom. Someone has to buy it. But like I said, people want this stuff on the dip, right? There was support at 60 cents. It went down there 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So someone's down here in this stuff, right? Really, the only argument I'm saying is that, you know, when the market goes up, Bitcoin dominance could move. Bitcoin could just move, don't laugh, faster and harder than anything else. Because all it takes in Bitcoin and gold is for big players to go, you know, that was the dip. Especially if they do something crazy like wick it down to a new low at 25 or 26. Okay, Zach's asking about silver. Only too happy to look in on that. So silver on the daily chart, there's absolutely no downtick whatsoever. None. Okay, and when you look at silver weekly, hey, the Elliott wave work is pretty clear, right? It's pretty clear, right? You know, it started back here in 2020. So let me just mark this as 2020 for the low. So, you know, you had your little wave 1, your small wave 2, your big wave 3, and then it's very typical when you get a small wave 2, you get a big wave 4. Big meaning annoying, choppy, etc. So clearly, silver is like either breaking out or trying to break out. I think I would draw it this way. Okay. And as you focus in on this, right, you see silver breaking out. So if this was the end of the 4 wave, silver is entering like a weekly 5 wave, which is a nice way of saying 5 waves can be really emotional. Then if you look at the 5 wave itself, right, it started with a 1 wave up, a 2 wave down. So we are entering the impulsive part, which is the 3 wave. Impulsive meaning you get a lot of gratification because you don't take a lot of heat on your position. So you get an impulsive move in the middle of an overall emotional rally. I mean, this got $40 written all over it. By the way, you know, ETH does well. ETH does well when precious metals do well. So I'm like, Bitcoin. ETH could go right back to 2,200. I just think Bitcoin is the thing that's going to make a new high, right? A new local high for the move. And it's going to do that a lot faster than anyone thinks. Because again, What did it do into the solar eclipse? I mean, this is not complicated. I don't think. It's not complicated. Now, the other thing that I like is that, you know, it was a solar eclipse back in November. So you could call this the end of eclipse season. When you have the end of eclipse season, you know, whatever started in November with FTX ends on May 5th. So a lot of people think Bitcoin's going to go down, make a new low. I don't think so. I think all that bearish stuff that happened last year, that's over, in my opinion. Okay, all these altcoins have 13 bottoms, right? This is Mina by request. Okay, nothing particularly exciting on the daily chart. Okay. Language trainer wants to look at Pax G. Okay, so this is 24-hour gold, basically. 13 top, okay. 9 bottom on the daily, right? You got every reason to believe. You got every reason to believe that that was it in Pax. You got the 9 bottom here on the 4-hour chart. And you got the 13 bottom on the 90-minute chart right on top of support. Okay. You know, it's like, you know, there's no hope for the dollar. None. Right? None. Okay. Absolutely none. Let's see what else we got here. Let's take a look at Cardano. Very impressive booth Cardano had last year at Consensus. So disappointing that this like petered out and nobody bought the dip on this 9 top in Cardano. But, you know, on the 4-hour chart, you got the 13 bottom, and then there's possibly one more puke left. So, I mean, this could be down for like 2 more days. Right? And if you like Cardano, it was at 40. I mean, you missed it at, you know, you didn't get it at 30. Let's like do a fib retracement thing on this. So you didn't get it below 30 cents. So the 50% retracement is 38 cents. Could you get a move to 36? Maybe. Right? So maybe there's one more puke, but I mean, why would you not look at Cardano, especially since Cardano right in this area, you know, that's kind of where Cardano consolidated. It was a prior high. So, you know, if they discount this is like going to a department store and seeing a lot of the things that you like best on sale. Every altcoin's not going to make it, right? But some of these altcoins may go with Bitcoin. You know, the 4-hour chart of Fantom, again, you have a 13 bottom, but that doesn't guarantee that the down move's over, right? So you may have 3 more crappy days in Fantom. You may have 3 more crappy days in Fantom. Now, if that's the case, you know, like I said, good. Good. I mean, let's go back to Bitcoin. You know, there's the 13 bottom on the 90-minute chart. There's the 13 bottom on the 4-hour chart. You know, if they want to take Bitcoin down to 26, good. Right? If they want to do something like more twisted, this would kind of be more twisted. You know, if they did something like, I don't know, like guys I know, they call it sweep the lows, right? In other words, there was a lot of, you know, people at 26,500, you know, people may have stop losses down here, right? People may have stop losses. This was, This is a huge congestion zone. So if they go down here and like try to like take this out, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, whoa. Bonus. Now, what's the difference between 27,300 and 26,500? If you're looking for 32K, there isn't any. I mean, this is not investment or trading advice, but, you know, again, you go back to the 4-hour chart of ETH, right? The 50% retracement is at 1755, right? And I remember on my Gann chart, right? 1750 and change, 1775. Good support in ETH. So if they decide to hit this thing, okay, well, Michael is asking for my top 5 picks. Well, I work for a company called Emerging Asset Group. You know, we're working on everything from a gold-backed token to a security token to a water product to tokenizing New York City's Diamond District. I don't know how much I can say about it right now on the air, but, you know, that's my bet. That's my bet. Like that's where all my chips are. And if I can get my hands on some Bitcoin at 27K or below, I'm doing it because they could absolutely rip this thing up. Absolutely rip it. Okay, let's see what else we got going on here. Okay, Shreko loading up on Zcash. And this thing about central bank digital currencies can't get the 13 bottom in Zcash. This thing just continues to break all our hearts. There's pretty good support here at $36.40. You have a nice 9 bottom on the 90-minute chart. You know, I have such a hard time. You know, this old prior low at $36.80 continues to hold. I have a really hard time saying that there's no case for privacy. You know, Monero really isn't doing anything on either the weekly or the monthly. Actually changed that, the monthly chart. Kind of like this dip on the 3 and then it comes back. God, this privacy narrative, right? I mean, you know, taking people's money, right? So Wrong Again says the biggest loser is Zcash from last year. So yeah, I got into that. And then Celsius and all that happened. I got smoked. Wrong Again is saying, where are all the likes? Hit the like button, for God's sakes. Okay. So Mark is asking, did Zcash work when the lira fell in Turkey? Okay. And Mr. Moby Dick is saying Rose for privacy. And there's also Secret Network. Okay. Rose looks okay on the monthly chart. On the daily chart, you got 3 more down days, 0.0508. Okay. And again, you got really strong support. You know, this thing went all the way up to 8 cents and then they dropped it. So some alts are going to come back and some aren't. Come back, meaning they're going to go all the way up and take out their highs. Okay. You know, I think Bitcoin could do it. You know, Rose might be able to do it. You know, altcoins with a theme can do it. Okay. Secret. Okay. Same setup, although Secret may be better because it's going to have the 13 and the 9 bottom. Now, the thing that's a little bit of a bummer about Secret is that it's below support right around 65 cents. But we've seen these dips below support, and it hasn't, it hasn't been able to stay down there. So there's a giant base forming here, but you're not getting a lot of gratification on the upside. Okay. Like I said, just remember, every altcoin from the last cycle is not going to make it in the next cycle. It's not. Right. And nowhere is that going to be more obvious. Nowhere is that going to be blah. Is that going to be more obvious than if there's a rally up? I have no idea why I can't DeFi perp up here. Okay. Mark still has Tron. As a reminder, not all coins will make it. Okay. Not a reminder. All coins won't make it. Okay. I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm headed over to Debate Crypto after this, and you'll be redirected. I think the lunar eclipse is going to be bullish as you move into it through the Fed, and then it's kind of a sell the fact, right? Where you get another dip. The mistake people are making is they're making a mistake that the next dip in Bitcoin will scare people out of the market. Don't fall for that. And that this thing can't just turn around and rip the 32. I don't know why, right? But I do know it's pretty simple. Bitcoin was vertical on the upside, headed into the solar eclipse. This lunar eclipse ends the kind of the negativity that started back in November. So it's kind of goodbye to negativity about crypto. The government threw everything at this but the kitchen sink. They threw everything at it. You had massive FTX bankruptcy. Coinbase and Gemini are bidding for Celsius, probably trying to get the wrapped Bitcoin on their balance sheet. That's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow.